welcome to Rita's channel. Christmas is here, and I have one festive lady in need of a bit of a glow up. This is the Happy Holidays Gala Barbie from 1994, whom I found on eBay for a very good price. From the moment I laid my eyes on her, I knew I wanted to bring out her original beauty and get her ready for the holidays. She's pretty much complete as far as her outfit and accessories go, and only needs a better hairdo and a good thorough cleanup. Oh, what's this? Well, she actually is missing one single hair plug in the front. Well, Barbie, worry not, as we will fix this for you. We'll have to remove the hat, which is affixed to her head, but I don't think that'll be an issue. But indeed, there is nothing else missing. She still has her ring as well, so this shouldn't require that much work. Even her skirt still has the tagging barb that probably kept her skirt in place when she was still in her box. Here you can see that there is a red tulle fabric underneath her dress. Now I'll just inspect her legs for any defects. Oh yes, she also still has her shoes on, so I have to say that this was quite a lucky find. Her legs have luckily no issues, just a bit of indentations left by the shoes. I'm sorry I'm peeking under her skirt that much, but it's just a routine inspection from my side. I'm happy to say though that she's in almost immaculate condition, just a bit dusty, so I say it's time to get her ready for her bath. I'll start with removing her hat. It seems to be tied with the same tagging barbs as her skirt. This one wasn't attached properly, and the hat is loose on this side. I'll go ahead and very carefully snip these off so I don't cut any of her hair. And we can see that her hat has a simple design. It's just a faux fur sewn together. Now, before I start brushing her hair out, I'll remove these hair strands that got caught in her earrings. It's not always this easy, and when the hair is stuck too much, it's sometimes better to remove the earrings completely. But this time, it was a quick fix. Now, on to the detangling. Since she again has Kanekalon hair, I'm brushing it dry with a pet brush, as I found that these metal bristles are much gentler on the synthetic hair than plastic brushes. It's very important to start brushing from the ends and gradually work my way up. This really helps with minimizing hair loss, and with this doll, there was almost none. I'll also snip off this barb from the dress before washing it. She's now ready to get out of her dress and into the spa. Let's also first fill in this missing hair plug. Seeing how well kept this doll is, I'm actually thinking that she might have come like this, with a missing hair plug, from the factory, which does happen sometimes. Today's hair donor is this foam and color Barbie head, whose hair is sadly so poorly rooted in that it barely holds inside. I'll therefore use her hair first and maybe reroot her in the future. Now that we have our hair strand, let's tie a knot on the rougher end that will be hidden in the head. I usually just tie a simple knot as it seems to be holding pretty well. Now we'll need to get her head off, for which it needs to be softened by heating it up. I either use hot water or it's also possible to use a hair dryer. Today, I'll demonstrate the latter. What I like to do with this method is first wrap the hair in a towel to make sure the excess heat doesn't cause any damage to it. And then I direct the heat at the neck. The vinyl can get pretty hot, so please be careful if you decide to do this method. Once the head is very soft, I start to gently twist it off the neck peg. It's good to be firm yet gentle here, as the plastic of the neck might break. The neck pegs of the 90s dolls usually have two little arms that also like to get stuck in the head vinyl, so try to keep an eye out on that and work on slowly wiggling it out of there. I'm happy to report that we've successfully removed the head and no harm was done. Alright, we've got our head and our replacement hair plug. I will now use one of these extra long needles, making sure I don't choose a very thick one to avoid ripping the vinyl. Lastly, I'll need a piece of thread. Now, I recommend doing this while the head is still soft from the heat. I'll first push in the end of the needle, so the needle's eye first, and make it poke out from the neck just enough so that I can work with it. Then, I'll guide the thread through the needle, making sure there's a loop. Our hair strand that we prepared beforehand will then go through this loop of thread, and we can then pull on the thread to safely get the hair strand through the needle. Before pulling out the needle, I like to hold on to the knotted part of the hair strand and first get the rest of the hair through the vinyl. And finally, I tug on the hair strand to fix it in place and check that it holds well. This step is now complete. As the next step, I'll wash her dress in cold water and some mild washing powder, which I make sure to dissolve properly. This time, I'll also use a color catching sheet as her dress is a very vibrant red, so I expect the dye to bleed. Now that everything's ready, I'll place the dress in two and very gently swirl it around. Oh, I almost forgot about the hat, but in it goes as well. I let the dress soak just for about 15 to 20 minutes to allow the washing powder to work. The soaking time is up, and you might notice that some of the dye did bleed out into the water, but it's not that bad. I'll remove the hat first to make sure it doesn't absorb any of that dye and carefully rinse out all the washing liquid. Then I'll very gently squeeze and swirl around the dress a bit. I noticed that the velvety bits on the dress are most likely flocking, so I don't want it to wash off. Now I'll just rinse the dress in cold water and double check that the flocking is undamaged. Everything seems to be in order, so the dress can now be dried. And now finally the time to get Barbie a spa treatment she deserves. As always, I'll place her in a pail, add some dish soap and hot water. She'll then soak for a couple of hours. Afterwards, I'll use a sponge with a drop of dish soap to clean her body up as best as I can. And here you can notice that the dress bled some dye straight onto the plastic of her body, and it's impossible to wash it off. I would probably need to apply some peroxide to the affected areas. But it doesn't bother me as it really won't be visible under the dress. So let's just continue with shampooing the hair to wash out all the accumulated dirt. After rinsing the shampoo, I'll then apply enough conditioner, and at this point I'll do a second detangling of the hair with a fine-toothed comb. Again, it's crucial to start at the ends and go gradually up to the roots, as this protects the hair from being pulled out or snapped. I personally like using short strokes at first until I feel like the comb glides through the hair with ease. When that's done, I'll just lightly rinse out the conditioner and prepare the setting for the boil wash. I'll use a glass jar that's heat resistant and fill it up with freshly boiled water and let it cool down so that it's less than 90 degrees Celsius. So in this step, I dunk her hair into the water and comb it gently as I pull it out of the water. The hair usually still slightly knots up a bit here, so I just repeat this until the hair is nice and combed through. I know I repeat this in every video, but it's so important to be very careful here as the water is scalding hot and you might burn yourself. Now you don't have to do the boil wash, but I want to reset the hair and recurl it later. To seal in the effects of the boil wash, I rinse the rest of the conditioner out with cold water and comb the hair a bit more. Next I'll just dry her up a bit, and she's now ready to get her hair done. Before we dive into that, let's check the dress first. It's now nice and clean, and luckily the flocking survived. Of course, the faux fur has now lost its softness, which is natural once it is washed. I have, however, found a tip on YouTube on how to combat it. I'll show it on the hat as it's easier to do on camera. All I need is the pet brush, which is really helpful for this step, as I just need to brush the faux fur out until it's fluffy again. And that's really all there is to it. Next stop for Barbie is the salon, where I'll curl her hair into looser curls, which I feel I prefer for this doll more. I actually left her hair to completely dry out to give her a more uniform look near the roots. I've only wet the lower part of the hair, which is the area I want to curl. I was also able to find her natural part line. Sometimes this needs rethatching, but in her case it was enough to comb it into place. Here I apologize for the less than ideal setting, but I find it really challenging to style doll hair, so I need to hold the doll with my legs. Now I'll just divide the hair into larger hair sections. I'm choosing the size of the hair section to sort of match the original size of the hair curls. If I wanted tighter curls, I would take less hair into one section. I also like to wrap the section in a piece of tissue paper and pull it to the ends, as that helps me with keeping the ends from resisting the curler. And then I just curl the hair up until above her shoulder. Now I'll do the same thing with the remaining hair, dividing it into more or less the same size sections. You can probably see that some hair strands are poking out, but I will still do a hot water treatment, so it's not an issue. Alright, the curling part is done. Before I pour hot water on the curls, I want to remove the extra paint from her face, which seems like a faulty routing from the factory, as her hairline is a bit uneven. There's a bit of her scalp paint poking through her hair here. I'll just use a tiny bit of pure acetone on a cotton swab to remove that. There, much better. Now we can set the curls with some hot water. As I want the curls to be a bit looser, I'm using water that's about 70 degrees Celsius. For tighter curls, I'd use hotter water. Either way, I want to make sure that all curls are soaked evenly. And this step is done too. I'm back a day later and her curls are now dry. I've however noticed that her left upper lip has a tiny chip. It's hard to see and I think it might have happened during the wash, but I'll try to touch it up a bit. I'll use this Naphthol Red Deep shade that seems to fit her lip color almost perfectly. I really need just a tiny speck of color, so I will actually just dip the brush in water and take a bit of paint straight from the cap. I still need to practice a steady hand, but I'm happy with how this turned out. After the paint has dried, I can now finally remove the curlers. I will tidy the curls up a bit off camera, but she's pretty much ready now. And here she is, back in her festive attire, ready to enjoy the holidays. I haven't been able to find much information about this doll, other than the fact that she was a European exclusive. She is currently my first and only holiday doll, as it's not common to find these unboxed. I personally really like the pattern on her dress, and in combination with the white faux fur and the golden details, she fits the Christmas mood so well. Let's take a quick look at how she looked before the cleanup and after. Well, maybe not that big of a difference, but her dress is now a bit cleaner and a bit brighter. The biggest difference is probably her hair, which needed the treatment the most. This Barbie is a gorgeous holiday doll, and I'm so happy I found her and was able to add her to my collection and to my holiday setup. I really hope you enjoyed this shorter video, and I hope you are having a wonderful, peaceful, and joyful Christmas. Of course, maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, or it's not your favorite time of the year, or it's just not as joyful for you. In that case, I hope you are well and that you're able to find peace of mind in something else. In any case, I thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful day and all the best. May the next year be kind to us all. Take care.